Tonight, a woman wakes up with an unusual wound. Doctors screaming in horror, and a medical discovery leaves an entire hospital speechless. Samantha Lewis, a 33-year-old mother of 3, had always lived a simple and routine life. Between balancing work, taking care of her children, and managing the household, she rarely had time to worry about herself. Her days were predictable, structured, and filled with the responsibilities of raising a family. But one night something happened that would turn her life upside down. It started as an ordinary evening. Samantha tucked her children into bed, finished cleaning the kitchen, and finally lay down, exhausted from another long day. She had no reason to believe that the night would be any different from the hundreds of nights before it. But in the middle of the night, she was jolted awake by a sharp, throbbing pain in her neck. Disoriented and still groggy from sleep, she instinctively reached for the area and felt a small, raised bump. The skin was warm, slightly swollen, and tender to the touch. The pain was deep, not like a simple scratch or mosquito bite. It was a dull, pulsing sensation that radiated down her neck. Assuming she had been bitten by a spider or mosquito in her sleep, she didn't think much of it. She had lived in the same house for years, and small insect bites were nothing new. Telling herself it was nothing serious, she rolled over and went back to sleep, expecting that by morning the pain would be gone. But when the morning sun streamed through her window, Samantha quickly realized that something was wrong. The pain hadn't subsided. In fact, it had gotten worse. She sat up in bed, feeling an uncomfortable heat spreading through her neck and shoulder. Slowly, she walked to the bathroom, rubbing the tender spot absent-mindedly. As she flicked on the bathroom light and turned to face the mirror, she gasped. Instead of the small red bump she had expected, there was a dark, hollow hole in her skin. The surrounding tissue was swollen and inflamed, and the wound looked raw, as if something had burrowed into it. Her fingers trembled as she reached up, gently touching the edges of the hole. An unsettling sensation washed over her. It felt deeper than a normal wound, and worse, it appeared to be slightly moving. Panic surged through her chest. This was not a normal bug bite. She rushed to clean the area, splashing cool water on her skin and covering it with antiseptic. She carefully placed a bandage over the wound, trying to keep her breathing steady. Maybe it was an infection. Maybe she had scratched the bite in her sleep and caused it to worsen. By noon, the discomfort had turned into full-fledged pain. It spread down her shoulder, and her jaw ached as if she had been punched. She felt a mild fever coming on, her body growing weak. She knew she had to get to a doctor. Samantha arranged for her mother to watch the kids and drove straight to the emergency room. When she arrived, the triage nurse took one look at her wound and immediately called for a doctor. Within minutes, Dr. Michael Carter, an experienced physician, stepped into the examination room. As Samantha described how she had woken up with the wound and how it had worsened throughout the day, Dr. Carter listened carefully. His expression remained neutral, but there was something in his eyes, concern. Then he asked her to remove the bandage so he could examine it directly. Samantha hesitated but slowly peeled back the gauze. As soon as the bandage came off, Dr. Carter's face changed. His professional, composed expression tightened and he leaned in closer. "We need tests," he muttered, turning to the nurse. "Right away?" Samantha's heart pounded in her chest. "What is it?" she asked, her voice shaky. "We need to run some scans before I can give you an answer," Dr. Carter said carefully, but Samantha could tell that whatever he had seen it wasn't good. Within minutes, she was prepped for a series of tests: blood work, a biopsy, and an MRI scan. Nurses moved quickly, whispering among themselves, exchanging uneasy glances. Samantha felt the weight of their nervous energy pressing down on her. Hours later, Dr. Carter returned, holding her test results. His expression was unreadable. Samantha, he began, choosing his words carefully. What we found inside your wound is unusual. He placed an image on the screen beside her. Samantha stared at it, trying to make sense of what she was looking at. At first, it looked like a close-up of her neck tissue, but then she noticed something. A small, moving object embedded deep within her skin. Her stomach lurched. "What is that?" Dr. Carter exhaled. "A parasitic larva." Samantha's breath hitched. "You were bitten by an insect that didn't just bite you. It left something behind." Dr. Carter explained further. Her wound wasn't just an irritated insect bite. It was a host site for a botfly larva. Botflies, which are commonly found in tropical climates, have a terrifying reproductive method. They lay their eggs on mosquitoes or other biting insects. When the mosquito bites a human, the body heat causes the eggs to hatch. The larva then burrows beneath the skin, where it feeds on tissue as it grows. The pulsing pain she had been feeling, that was the larva moving inside her flesh. Had she waited any longer, the larva could have burrowed deeper, making extraction even more complicated. Samantha felt sick. The medical team quickly prepared her for a minor surgical procedure to remove the larva. With precision, they used a specialized tool to extract it, ensuring that no remnants were left behind. When they finally pulled it out, Samantha could barely look. The creature was larger than she had expected, its tiny body wriggling in response to the sudden exposure. The hospital staff had seen botfly infestations before, but never one this advanced. After the procedure, Samantha was given antibiotics to prevent infection, and Dr. Carter assured her that she would make a full recovery. But the emotional trauma would take much longer to heal. Once she was discharged, Samantha took every precaution to ensure she never experienced anything like that again. She researched ways to protect herself from insect infestations, cleaned her home thoroughly, and made sure her windows were properly sealed. But the most chilling discovery came later. As she retraced her steps, trying to figure out how this had happened, she realized something terrifying. Botflies weren't common in her area. She must have been bitten while traveling weeks ago. This meant the larva had been growing inside her for a long time before she even noticed it. Her story soon went viral as a warning to others. Never ignore a mysterious wound, no matter how small. Would you have recognized Samantha's condition in time? Have you ever had a medical issue that turned out to be far worse than expected? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoy real-life stories that leave you questioning everything, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because sometimes the smallest things can cause the biggest nightmares.